was with Miss Wheelchair Wisconsin and Miss Wheelchair USA. Um, then I went around and advocated how to make changes, and I've been part of policymakers, and I helped pass laws to help make sure that we had equal employment for people with disabilities, to make sure that wages were equal. So, um, and I've also been the first disabled RA at Whitewater, and I was the only girl to play on the men's wheelchair basketball team. Yes. So I was not very talented at wheelchair basketball, but I love to play and I understand the game very well. So I have some very talented friends who have played in the Paralympics. So do you guys have any questions? Um, at any time, ask questions because I'm really here about giving you information. I can go on and talk about myself, but I really want to be able to share information with you guys. I do have attendant care, just so you do know that. I do live on my own, but I do have attendant care that drive me and help me with my activities of daily living. And then I do have, yes, go ahead. I'm gonna be honest. For me, I interviewed way more than probably your typical person. Okay, and I could see it on their faces when I wheeled in the room, and I could hear the whispers. Oh, she's in a wheelchair, and I got to be the two top candidates multiple times, several times before I got a job. And the times that I did get a job, I felt that I got it, right? I would come out of the interview and I'd say to my friend, like, ooh, I felt good about that one. Like, I just got the vibe, like, ooh, I got that. And multiple times I could feel it when I didn't, because I'd say, ooh, I saw it on their faces. And I could tell in some of the interview questions that I got, they were just really strange. And they were questions that I knew they couldn't ask me, but I answered them anyway, because the truth is, if you don't answer them, you're not going to get the job. And then people say, they can't ask you that. Well, yeah, I know that. But if I don't answer the question, I'm not going to get the job regardless. So I'm an open book anyway. And right through education, right? They can learn better. So if I answer it, it proves I'm not afraid. You can ask me anything. I'm an open book. So ask me, and I'll answer you with humor, but I'll answer you with honesty. I mean, there was one job interview I went on. They literally asked me, "How do you feel about inclusion?" I I was like, I you know, I feel great about it. Like it's good. And I mean, and there's other questions. Like do you believe in Yes, I do, because I believe one philosophy doesn't fit all kids. IEPs are individualized. When I go to work at a district, I want to hear that they're going to allow me to do what's best for kids. When I was in school, I didn't graduate that long ago, and they were telling me, it's all about inclusion. No, in reality, when I'm in the field, I learned very quickly that if you want to do what's best for kids, I need to work at a district that's going to allow me to do either or, because some kids do need pullout. And if you're not going to allow me to do what's best for kids, I need to be allowed to do both, because some kids do need that little bit of pullout. And that's the truth. And individualized means not one philosophy doesn't fit all kids. Yes, that's what we want the most, but I'm telling you, especially now that I'm at the elementary, some kids need that little bit of pullout. And I live it. So I'm going to do the best for my kids and for my families. And when I'm sitting across that table, and I love my kids, and I love my families, and they love me, and they know it. And the parents always say, we can tell, because when I sit across that table, my mom told me, if you become a teacher or a social worker, whatever, I treat them the way I wanted my mom to be treated. She wasn't always treated kind when I was in school. I wasn't always treated kind. We sued my high school, and we won. We had 35 human rights violations. We won. So I treat my parents the way I want my mom to be treated. When I'm sitting across that table, I'm looking at my mom. When I'm dealing with my kids, that's me. I talk openly. I have kindergarten, first, second, fourth, and fifth. I'm working hard every day. I'm teaching my kids. We talk openly, even my 5-hour kids, about their disabilities. They know all about themselves. They say, Miss B taught me. I have autism and I'm awesome. I have difficulty reading, but I'm learning strategies. I have anger issues, but I'm learning to calm down. They know. They absolutely know. And their parents are like, you're teaching them right. Like it's not a bad word. It's how you teach them. I want them to be empowered to know that, hey, you're going to be successful in life. I tell them all the time, do you think Miss B is smart? Do you think she can do things? Yeah, you're the best teacher ever. Well, guess what? Yeah, I had an IEP. And look, I'm your teacher. So you're going to do amazing things. I expect amazing things from you. You're all bucket fillers. We're not bucket dippers in here. Come on, let's do this. So, you know what? That's my message to the kids. That's messages out in the community. I've had 3 years to try to get my service dog approved in my school district. He finally got approved last week. So, you know what? Even Miss B has to keep working. We cannot stop. He's here. He's in the building. You've seen him. He has pajamas on. The dinosaur pajamas. Yeah, that's my service dog. That's my Beansy Boo. And all my students know about service dogs. They know what they're for. They know that he helps Miss B. He picks up things. They know the difference between service dogs, therapy dogs, and emotional support dogs and pets. My group knows, and they tell the other kids in the building. If it's Beans, Miss Beans helps Miss B, and you have to ask before you pet him. And he loves belly rubs, and they read to him, so they know. Yes. So do you guys have more questions? Yes.
I'm just curious, when you were in college, did you ever run into messaging about we have to always look for normal in kids? Because I ran into that messaging a lot. I'm a teacher too, and every time that I would try to interject disability into the conversation, it got very uncomfortable for the professor's staff. And the messaging I received was, you don't look for disability. You focus on normal for each and every child you're involved with. You can refer, but you cannot go into this work with disability on your mind. It's like my head was in a dodgeball situation I where I know students with disabilities matter just as much as any other student does. And it was interesting hearing a different message. I was just wondering if you ever ran into it.
I would say not so much in college. I would say, I'm going to tell the truth, that when I'm in my school building, I usually do see situations very differently than some of my staff members. Like, I very much can identify with my students. I always have kids in my room every lunch. I don't have lunch and I don't have prep because kids are eating lunch with me every day because they're not having kids to sit with. And that's kids with IEPs, and kids without IEPs are eating lunch with me. And when parents are saying my kids are struggling with friends and things like that, um, I get it because I'm a staff member who is not often, like, they're doing staff events that are not accessible. We're going to buildings that are not the accessible buildings, and they're forgetting about me. And I have to go to the gas station to go to the restroom, and then they're like, "Oops, sorry, we forgot." So they're getting better. Well, I mean, they're getting better, but right, like if you don't live it, you don't always remember. So, I mean, and it's not just this district; it's been every district I've been in that I've sort of had to lead the way and teach. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think it's like always intentional, but if you don't live it, you don't always think about it. So I don't think that it's like people are intentionally doing that, but I think I have a much more empathetic view when I'm talking with my parents. And I have a social work degree, so I can easily see the whole picture when it comes to kids and families, much more than other people that are sitting at the table. So when my family say, hey, my kid's struggling to make friends, then I can say, like, we don't, it isn't always about making the kid that has the disability fit in with the other kids. The other kids have to come to those kids too, and I can much more see both sides. And so I think for me, I can see the whole picture, where I'm like, yeah. So I mean, my lunch bunches are like 20, 25 kids sometimes, and my room is completely full. And then the principal's like, must be your room is, there's so many kids that wanted my lunch bunch. I have it every day, both lunches, because there's so many kids, reg ed kids, spec ed, that want it in my lunch bunch. And he's like, what are you doing in here that all the kids want lunch bunch? And I'm like, literally, we're just connecting, right? Like my strength is really getting to know kids. And when's the best time to get to know kids? When you're not doing academics. You're just sitting there talking and we're playing games, right? I mean, when you're not pushing hard academics that are hard for them. So, yeah, I sometimes have those conversations, but I had really good professors at Whitewater, and at U of I that did a really nice job of that. So, and I'm always nice about it, but I'm really good about speaking up. But I'll do it in such a kind way that you might not even realize that I'm speaking up, because I feel like killing them with kindness is a lot easier than being harsh about it. I feel like I get my foot in the door much more. You know, I'll only be really harsh about it if kindness hasn't worked, and I've tried it like 10 times. Then if you're not hearing me, then you might see the other side. Especially if it comes to my students. I'm like a mama. So you're going to have to do that. So, I mean, but I've advocated my whole life. I've been disabled my whole life. My mom was a single mom. She taught me, like, I'm not going to be here your whole life. So when she dropped me off at college, she said, I love you. I'm 4.5 hours away. You're going to have to figure this out. And when I called that first weekend and I said, oh, I don't think I like this, I want to come home. And she said, you're the one that decided you wanted to go to another state. I said, I'll visit you once a month. You can call, but you can figure it out. And she came once a month, and now I love her for it. I mean, but at the time I was like, but I want to come home. And she said, I'll see you when we said that. I agreed to pick you up. You're fine. And I said, but I'm not so sure. And she said, you make friends very easily. And you were the one that said you wanted to go away to school just like all your friends. You did not want to stay close. You wanted to be like everyone else and go away. Now's your chance to fly. Fly. And she stuck to it. And now I thank her for that. Because family members were like, go pick her up. And she was like, no. So she told me no when she needed to. Yeah. Well, for me, it's usually like physical barriers. Like, hey, I can't get in the building. There's not a good bathroom. Your events are like physical events I can't do. I'm in this room. I can't get underneath a table. How do you want me to take notes? Your social events for staff. That's not accessible. How can I go there? You know what I mean? The conversations that you're having, not appropriate. I'm not hanging out in the teacher lounge. Like, it's interesting when you hear conversations when I was virtual and they didn't realize I was in a chair. And then I come in the building the next year and they're like, "Oh, you're disabled?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, we didn't know." I said, "I didn't realize that." But it's just interesting how the conversation changed, right? And then I remind them and they said, "Oh, we made you a bathroom, but it's ADA compliant." Well, it doesn't work for me. And I've told you what I need to be compliant for me. So there's a difference for me. Like, I get when, and that's everywhere, right? We have so many buildings and it's ADA compliant, but it doesn't work for me. And I don't know who decided the ADA compliance, but like, I have the smallest kid size wheelchair. Well, how's an adult size wheelchair going to fit in there if mine barely fits in there? And my service dog Beans, he's tiny for a golden, he's 50 pounds. He can barely fit in there. And then my friend, who's gonna help me, she can't fit in there, and the door has to be open. And one time at my school, I was going to the bathroom. I had to go where the students go to the bathroom. How would you like that as a teacher? So the students are in there where I'm going to the restroom. "Oh, hi, Miss B. Are you going to the restroom?" "Oh, hi, Alexa." "Oh, yeah, I am." I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, until the students know when I'm going to the restroom. I mean, that's a little strange. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of. Or I have to go down to the gas station to go to the restroom. I do it all day for things. Yes. All day, every day. I mean, whether it's about my service dog, whether it's about, hey, this table, I can't reach underneath the table to teach my kids. Okay, you want them at the carpet, but the carpet doesn't work for me, so they need to sit at the table. If you want me to write on the dry erase board, it's simple. The kids know. They're not the hard ones. They already know. They're coming to the table. Miss B needs to work at the table. Grab the dry erase board. And then the teacher's like, "Well, they need to be at the carpet." Well, Miss B can't work at the carpet. They already know. They're the easy ones because I've already taught them. They're already grabbing the dry erase board for me. They know Miss B can't reach that. They already know because they already know. It's the other people that are slower to get it. The kids will lead us, right? I I've worked in like 4 different school districts. So, and it's even like getting the technology right? Because that makes all of our lives easier. I have spastic quadriplegic. So like if I could voice activate anything, that's even easier. So like doing that's even better. So trying to get those kinds of things. Because some of the things that work for your kids work for me. I'm like, "Hey, Miss B does that too." And they love that when you use some of the things they use that. I mean, so, and some districts have been way better than others. So, and it just kind of depends. I mean, and I think as they learn, they get better. And I've had some amazing districts where have been really, really great, and some other districts that have been slower at at getting up to par with things that they need to do. And in fairness, they've never had a staff member who's had a physical disability and been in a chair. And school buildings are old. Well, I think sometimes they put us in certain buildings, or they just hope they try to ignore the issue unless I keep at it. And some things, I'm going to be honest, some things I let go and I only worry about the big things because I'm working so hard at my everyday job. Right? So I'll have people say, "Oh man, you got to fight that." And it's like, dude, I can't fight everything because I'm working really hard. And so I'm only worrying about the big things. Like, you know, like I don't care if every door is not automatic because I don't have time to do that. So give me one entrance to get in the building, one entrance to get out. Give me a bathroom. Give me tables. You know what I mean? Well, they need, I mean, They know how to use them the right way. If you teach kids how to use them and when not to use them, they'll do it appropriately. Kids are smarter to know. They know that's my door. Even my kids, when they're dysregulated, they don't touch that door. They know that's Miss B's door. If they're even if they're destroying my room, which they do, I'm no exception. I have all those kids on my caseload. My room gets destroyed. There is no exception. I have those kids on my caseload, and I do not have an aide, and I handle it. They go and they don't touch that door. They'll destroy everything else in the room, but they will not break my technology. Yes. They were really good. I'm not gonna lie. And if I had an issue, because they weren't perfect, because let's be honest, they can improve. Every place can improve, right? Then you just go and you educate them as well. I lived in the dorm. I was the first disabled RA. So again, we taught on that level too, right? Because again, I'm gonna do something you're telling me I'm not gonna do. Oh well, being an RA, that's gonna be too hard. You have a tenant care, you can't be an RA. How are you gonna stay up all night? And then, no one's gonna want to stay up and then come out like, oh well, I want to be an RA. You tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna do it. So I did it. Yep, I know Ramsey, so he's saying yeah back there. Um, so again, it was all about um, once you figure things out. Again, it's about educating people and having conversations. Um, I worked with a disability agency on campus, and when there was an issue, we had conversations and we worked through it together. They were always really open about fixing things. When I went to grad school in Whitewater and at U of I, um, and they're very accessible as well, and they were really good about working with things. Yes, yep. And so they've always done a really nice job. That's probably why I still live there because the whole town is really nice. And then, um, well, the older buildings are not very accessible, but I feel like, but that town is nice enough that they'll find a way to get you in the building, whether they carry you in your whole chair or do whatever, they'll get you there. So that's always really nice. Yeah. Yes. So, like I said, I teach this year. I have kindergarten, first, second, fourth, and fifth. So, and I have 18 kids right now. And by the end of the month, I'll probably have 19. I think because so many kids are in eval right now. So, depending on the age level, I usually go in the class and I'll read them a book. And then I usually open it up to conversations and questions. And then I usually will just start talking to them about myself and telling them about my disability on an age level appropriateness. So you kind of like say it a little different to the kindergartners and first graders. And then usually some of my kids are in the class and then they already know me and they're usually raising their hand like crazy. Like, oh, what about beans? And oh, this is how your chair works. And and we don't touch Miss B's chair because it's part of her body. And they usually start taking over and asking the questions and because they know the answers, they're really excited when I call on them. And parents are usually like right on board, and a lot of times um, parents are happy when they see me. It sort of calms down parents who are like thinking I'm not going to understand it because I think it gives them a sense of like, oh, maybe she'll understand where we're coming from because I'm living it. So I think, and I tell them like, hey, we're team members here. You're the expert of your child. So I'm looking to you. I'll work fast to know them, but I'm not here to tell you everything about your child. You tell me what you know. You're the expert. So we're team members here. So like I am been lucky that I have amazing parents. Even when I've had parents that other people have said found to be, in quotes, I'm saying this, difficult, I don't find them to be that way. Because I find them to be caring parents who want the best for their child. They're not difficult. They're advocating for their child. At some point, they didn't feel heard. At some point, they did not feel heard. That's all they wanted. Sit down and rehab the conversation. Understand where they're coming from. They're not being difficult. They just wanted you to hear them. You can rehab a conversation, right? Apologize and say, I'm sorry, I think we got off on the wrong foot. I think we had a miscommunication. Can you please re-explain to me? That's all they want. They're not being difficult. You think about that. If you think a child is difficult, right? I say this. If you think you're having a difficult time with a student, the parents, that it's hard for them all the time. Come on. It frustrates me when I hear that. I'm like, the child's amazing. I have amazing students. These are my math all-stars. These are my reading all-stars. We're amazing. My students are amazing. I'm the lucky one because they share them with me. I say that every year. I have the best kids. I love my kids. I'm the luckiest teacher in the world because I tell parents every year, thank you for giving me the privilege to be your child's teacher. I am so lucky that I get those kids. I want those kids every year. I want every one of them. Give them to me. I love them. I'm just lucky. Any more questions? I love all this. Ramsey, do you have a question? Okay. Oh, Ramsey, that's not a fair question. I know, that's a difficult one. All right, well, to answer Ramsey's question, I root for both of them, but probably deep down, I probably root for Whitewater more because I went to Whitewater as an undergrad and as a grad, but I did play on the Illinois girls wheelchair basketball team, but I probably do root for both. So I'm not upset if Illinois wins deep down. So I hope the best for both of them. But Ramsey, that's an unfair question. But I love you, Ramsey. Go ahead. Well, I would love to do that, so I'll definitely do that. And I appreciate you being in the audience. So thanks for coming to hear me speak. All right, any more questions? Otherwise, I can keep talking. So, no, I have actually taught at the high school level and the middle school level. So I survived the middle school too. And I love my middle school students. So they actually still reach out to me. So they'll contact me and stuff and see how I'm doing. So I love them as well, and my high school kids. But my love is with the elementary kids. So if I could stay at the elementary, that's probably where I want to stay. But actually, I just love kids. So, but yeah, I'm glad to be back at the elementary. I just feel like, I don't know, I just have a passion for the little kids. And I just, like if they're sad or whatever, like I don't mind that. You know what I mean? And it's just like I love teaching them to be bucket fillers and not bucket tippers. And we can do the didgeridoo books and all that kind of stuff. So that's just my kind of thing. So, although whatever age you put me at, I'm fine with. So, well, thanks, Ramsey. I love you too. All right, is there any other questions? Yeah. Can you explain to me a little bit more about what do you mean, like a hard time? Like, is it because okay, that's just not okay. So, absolutely not okay. So, and if you can, and you could document for sure that was said. Okay, then that's an administration. I go right to administration. That isn't even okay at all. So that, and you put it in writing, because if you verbally say something, they could say it, the conversation never happened. So it goes in writing, and you go straight to administration. And if nothing happens, then you go above, and it goes in writing. You email that. I don't play that. I don't play that. You don't say that to a kid. IEP 504 regular ed kid. We don't say that. Because that's a bullying tactic, and we don't say that. Sorry, I don't play that. I am upset about that comment. Oh, yeah. Oh, you don't have to push it. Put it in writing. I want this kid to be evaluated. It's not a push. Send an email. They have 60 days to do the evaluation. Send an email. You don't have to push. If it goes in writing, they have to do it. Put it in an email, send it to the principal. Then the eval starts. Then he'll send it to the psych, and then the eval starts. So you say, I want this, and then put in the areas that you're concerned about in the email. Then the process starts. Not verbally, put it in writing. So you'll say, like, I am so and so. I have concerns about blah, blah, blah. I would like an evaluation to be started. Then CC yourself on the email. So you have record that the email was sent. You're welcome. Okay, any other questions? You know what? I do have cards. I didn't remember my cards because I was running late leaving school, was getting all my sub plans ready and doing all that. So, but I can give you my information, and then you can reach out to me and I can get you my card and all that. So I don't mind helping, anything like that. Any other questions? Anything like that? I have lots of information about sports, all kinds of things like that. I've tried every kind of sport you can try. Adaptive water skiing, basketball, soccer. My favorite, I'm always gonna love wheelchair basketball. I like, that is my love. That is my passion.
I honestly am not a huge sports person. I attended only one wheelchair basketball game when I was at Whitewater, and that's the event that I talk about all the time because I just saw, yeah, it was amazing. The teamwork and how much they help each other out. It doesn't matter which team you were on, they helped each other like get up, and if they fell down, it was just amazing.
Yeah, and the hard work and dedication that they put in is tremendous. When I played, I kid you not, we worked out every day at 5 in the morning, and then we had mandatory practice in the afternoon. And this is when I played on the guys team and the girls team. And then we travel on weekends. So like every other weekend during the season. And we're not sponsored by the university. We're considered, even though we play Division One, we're considered a club sport. So we have to raise our own money, even though, like for Whitewater, they have more national championships than the football team. And that's true. So like the uniforms and everything are the hand me downs from like the basketball team and stuff. And then the way the team raises money is by selling T-shirt ads and things. So although, and we have like international players that are like from Canada, Germany, Australia, you know, they are Paralympic athletes, the best of the best. And we are not sponsored by the university. The only thing that they can give out is 2 athletes a semester can get their food paid for. Some of the other universities, like, I'm not going to name them, but there's like 3 or 4 other universities can give full ride scholarships. But Whitewater does not. They didn't start it. It started at U of I, is where it started. If you go back in the history, started at U of I, but Whitewater started shortly after that. So we had some struggling years way before my time, but my coach was on that struggling team. We reminded him often, and because we looked back at old pictures, but yeah. So yeah, they're considered a club sport per the university, but they play in Division One in wheelchair basketball and the collegiate division. So they play in both of those divisions. So if you haven't seen a game, it's free. So you should come. I know they play like in Whitewater. They'll play at in Illinois at the U of I, and they'll play in Milwaukee for a weekend. They'll play. So you should check them out. Once you see it, you'll love it. You'll think it's amazing. So I would recommend it for everybody. And if I'm there, please come and talk to me. I get distracted and I'm kind of loud because I kind of forget that I'm not playing. And I'll go, swish, swish, get there. And I'm talking. My friends are like, you act like you're on the court. And I'm like, oh, I forgot that I'm not. So I get really into the game. So you'll just have to be like, Amy, quiet down. And I'm like, oh, my bad. So I get really intensely into the game. So yeah. So, and if you see Beans, you can pet him, even though he's a service dog. Like, he's young, and I let my students pet him as long as he's sitting. So he did just have surgery, so he's running around little dinosaur surgery pajamas. Yes, and so he's got his little pajamas on, but feel free to give him some love. So he's used to cute little outfits. I dress him often cute because he's cute. So I know that's not part of being a service animal, but I don't care. He's cute. He's going to look cute. So I also have a rescue dog too. Her name is Summer, and she gets dressed cute too, but she's naughty to her brother. She's sweet to humans, but she's naughty to Beans, and she takes his toys. So we're working on that. So any other questions that you can think of? If anybody wants to know the difference between like a 504 and an IEP, if anyone's wondering, because sometimes people get those confused. A 504 works the same way, through the same process as an IEP. So you'd have to do the meeting and all of that as well. So you don't just get it a 504. You have to have a meeting, you have to qualify, and a 504 it's the accommodations piece. So you wouldn't get like modifications and stuff, but you would get accommodations. And then you would have a meeting and you'd have to qualify that way. So I'm just shortening it up. But yes, and it's legal, and you can get those accommodations if you have a 504 in college, because I'm still helping my former 504 students in college. So I still help out with that, even though I'm not their 504 coordinator anymore. So I'm still doing lots of things. So, yeah. So any other questions? You're welcome, you guys. If you see me, you need something, reach out to me afterwards. If you want my private information, I'll give it to you. We can team up for things. Don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for being an amazing audience, and remember that. So, thanks, guys.